Hey everyone, good morning. Welcome back to More Than Just Task Management, your favorite daily podcast that helps you build a successful business. My name is Anna Angelova, a business coach and consultant and co-host of this awesome podcast. And as usual, I have Joris Minusfand here with me.
Hey everyone, hey Anna. Hope everyone is doing well. Today we're tackling a dilemma that a lot of business owners, business leaders, team leaders, and even members face. Meetings that feel like a waste of time. How many times have we, reached for that decline button just so we know, because we know it's just such a waste. So we're gonna discuss, how do we align meetings? How do we get the most out of it? And something that we've been quite passionate about.
Oh yeah, we've all had this experience, like receiving a meeting invite without anything in there. And especially when this comes from your manager, it's like, what the hell are they firing me?
Right.
So like you said, we talk about how to run productive meetings, actually, how to do this in a way that gets things done. And it's not a waste of time, and it's not another meeting that should have been an email kind of thing.
Mhm.
Mm. And yeah, it's something that it's not just for business owners. I love what you said. It's for everyone. When you think about it, team leads, and it applies to anyone, even in corporations. Like when you work with teams, like when you have meetings, this is something that really, really helps. Like knowing how to structure a meeting in a proper way.
Absolutely. So we'll talk about how to make your meetings shorter, focused, and action driven.
Well, but before we dive into this, as always, like it's really good to figure out what's happening, right? Like where are we when you think about the meetings, and why are meetings unproductive? Like because
Mhm.
ultimately, if you ask people, like 99.9% of meetings are unproductive.
Mhm.
And one of the biggest problems, like at least the way I see it, is lack of clarity.
Mhm.
People get into meetings without knowing what's the purpose of this meeting, like why are we together?
Yeah.
And this leads to continuous discussions that lead to nowhere,
And more meetings.
confusion, wasted time, more meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So absolutely.
Yeah. No clear agenda. Too many people. When you want, not everyone needs to be in every meeting. When when and that stems from not having a clear agenda. That's why you don't,
Unclear
if you don't know
purpose,
what
right?
for the purpose,
Mm.
yeah, you don't know what you're doing, then you have to get everybody. You don't know, you're not focused.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then at the end of the meetings, it's like no clear actions, no
Mhm.
accountability. It's like all these things when you think about it, no purpose, right? No clarity, no purpose of the meeting. Like why the hell are we meeting? Is it just a status to check in to see how things are going? Is it for us to reach a certain decision? Is it to share something, like present something and put everyone on the same page? Like what's the purpose of the meeting, right?
Mhm.
No clear, no agenda. Sometimes we're not even talking about no clear agenda. Like meetings that when I was in the corporate world, like probably 90% of the meetings didn't even have an agenda. And it's so easy to get into this trap when we're in this environment where you don't do this either.
Mhm.
Like you said, too many people, you invite everyone, and then no accountability. So
Yeah.
it's no wonder that people dread meetings, and like we also didn't
Absolutely.
enjoy it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. How do we fix this? What action items do we? I guess if you know what the problems you have, it's easy to get in, right?
Yes,
Fix
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we started with the problems, right? And the first problem I mentioned was with the clarity, right? And not
Yeah.
having the purpose of the meeting. And this is one of the things that like, I admit I don't do this for every single meeting, but I try to clear purpose and objective. Like, why are we meeting? What do we want to get out of this meeting? So ask yourself, like when you are setting a meeting, within the meeting invite, right? Write this. What's the purpose of this meeting? And you can just put purpose and then dash or
Or put in the
whatever, and
subject matter. Yeah.
mm,
Proper
very
subject.
clearly say, Purpose of the meeting. Those columns, whatever, like column, and then dash whatever you want, and add the purpose. And then the other one is the objective. What decisions or actions need to come out of it? If you don't have a clear purpose and objective for the meeting, you probably don't need a meeting at all. So start with this. Start with this thing, like purpose. What's the purpose of this meeting? Why are we meeting? And then objective, like what's the decision and actions that needs to come out of this meeting?
Yeah, create a structured agenda. Have a goal. Clearly state the goal of the meeting. What are the key discussion points? What are we going to talk about? Who's going to talk about? Who owns each key point? That way you know not to invite the world.
Yeah.
And the people who are being invited, they know what is expected of them. They come prepared. So that helps with the meeting to be more fruitful. And then most importantly, to stop the tangents going on, put time limits for each section.
Yeah, how long it takes? 5 minutes. For example.
And you're talking about objectives, 5 minutes, done.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And you can easily do this, like when you write the agenda, right? Like when you write the agenda, you can easily put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then like 1 intro, 2 current situation, 3 proposed solutions, 4 whatever it is, right? Yeah. And then you put the names, who is like after each one. So intro dash Anna, and in brackets you can put 5 minutes. Current situation, Joris, 10 minutes, for example, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, it's easy to put this on paper, right? It's easy to put it in the meeting invite. But the thing is that you want to stick to the agenda. You want to stick to the agenda. So actually, if things go on off track, it's like you need to keep it. But actually, before I forget about this one, before we dive into the how to keep the meeting focused itself and efficient, because sending the email, sending like the meeting invite with that structure inside of it, with the purpose and objective of the meeting, with the clear agenda. Another thing that I've heard, I haven't used it a lot personally, but I find it useful, is that you might not need everyone to attend the whole meeting. So if someone is needed for just a short portion of the meeting, you can actually include this as you prepare, right, for the meeting in the agenda and the meeting invite. You can let people know that, like, this person joins only from this time to this time as well.
Yeah, especially with the new technology, now everything can be recorded. So you record the meeting. If that person who leaves after 15 minutes wants to come back and look at what happened after, they can do it at the leisurely time and quickly go through it. It's like
you might need someone to just present something, right? An outside SME to present something and get out of the meeting. Like, you don't need them to stay for the whole discussion and things like this.
Yeah, when you set up meetings, like, think of yourself as a PM for that 30 minutes. You're a project manager, and those 30 minutes, 1 hour, you need to control.
Yeah.
You need to make sure a timely delivery of every single aspect of the meeting and results, right?
Yeah. And actually, speaking of the timely delivery, it's a good segue to how do we keep the meetings focused? Like, because again, everyone can write a beautiful meeting invite with the purpose, the agenda, who's talking about what, time limits, things like this. Mm-hmm. And when you set a time limit, first of all, for the meeting itself, right? Mm. And now, like you said, with technology, now when you set up a meeting that's like an hour, you get a suggestion, make it 45 minutes. An hour might be too long. Mm. Or if you set it for 30 minutes, like, no, don't do it 30 minutes, make it 25 minutes, right? Something along these lines. And if you think about like daily check-ins, for example, these things really need to be 15 minutes at most, like 15 minutes at most.
Absolutely.
Other meetings, like 30 minutes to 45 minutes is okay. Yeah. And anything longer should actually be considered more like a working session.
Like a strategy session, yeah.
Strategy session, working session, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Not just a meeting. It's not just a meeting. It's some kind of a session where you need to be together with people to achieve whatever the outcome is.
Absolutely, love it.
And how do you how else do you keep this, right? How else do you keep the time, right? So one thing is setting a clear 15 minutes or 30 minutes or 45 minutes. So during the discussion itself, right? You really want to keep it focused. Like, don't let people get off tangent on tangents, right? Yeah. A lot of times, like, we all love problem solving, and a lot of times, like, meeting turn into brainstorming and ideas and debates and things like this, which is like, okay, this needs to be a separate session. We have a clear purpose here. And one of the things I really love is the parking lot strategy. Where don't be afraid to, especially when it's your meeting, right? Don't be afraid to interrupt people and say, this is a great topic, this is a great discussion. Let's put it in the parking lot, or have a different topic, discuss it offline, whatever, like have a different meeting about this. Write down the ideas, like write down the things, but then revisit them later instead of dealing them within the meeting. And that's where, like, having that clear purpose of the meeting, knowing what it's all about. If the meeting is just a status meeting and someone starts talking about issues and things like this, it's like, no. The status is we're facing an issue right now. If you need to discuss it, this is a separate meeting, a separate conversation. Yeah, so we know that your status right now is you're facing an issue with your work. This issue should be resolved in, based on your experience, should be resolved in the next couple of hours or the next couple of days, whatever it is. Is it a showstopper or not, like whatever it is? And that's it, this is your status. A status meeting should not turn into a conversation of, oh, I have some questions about this and about that. No, what's your status? And then again, that's why it's so important to have that clear objective and that clear agenda for what it is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest problems with meetings, nothing happens afterwards.
Oh yeah, true.
No action items. It's like, even when we read books, remember what I said about books?
Yeah,
I love reading books, but I will read a 400-page book if I can take 2 action items out of it.
Yeah.
All these new books that are coming up, how to do this, top 10 this, or how to do that. But I need action items. But when you read the book, it's like,
well, when you read the book, you need to create your own action items, right?
So you have to take points. So same thing with meetings. Make sure that after the meeting, and if it's your meeting, you're responsible for this. Take notes for each key items, and then create an action item for that, right?
Yes, and action item with who is accountable for this, like who is the person. One person is accountable. Even if there are many people who will be working on this, one person is accountable for this action item. And what's the due date? When is this thing going to be done? And key takeaways, absolutely, like any decisions made during the meeting as well, right? Like any decisions, if something was decided during the meeting, like write it down and send it. Send the meeting minutes, the email with all these things, so everyone is on the same page and clearly sees. And this is the way I do it. So when I send the meeting minutes, of course, like including who attended the meeting, and then the first thing is action items with who's doing it and what's the deadline.
Yeah.
And then like the accountable and what's the deadline. Then I have the key takeaways or decisions. Actually decisions I separate in a separate section, knowing that these are decisions. Key takeaways, and then after that I have notes, like just general notes from the discussion.
You touched on a nice, interesting point: accountability. if you want results and you have action items in the meeting, accountability is key, and you can reinforce this by a follow-up system.
Yes.
You can mention it in the meeting itself with a deadline. This is your deadline is 2 weeks from now. We will connect with you only for this item, delivery action item, in 1 week.
Yeah.
So it's like
And if it's something that's it requires more time, like you say, 2 weeks, right? If it's not something that is like an action item that's the same day, right? If it's more of a, because if you think about an action item, it's something that should be done in the next few days. But if it's something that's I wouldn't consider it an action item, it's more of a project or whatever you want to call it out of the meeting. Then you can even say during the meeting you can agree on this as well. Follow-ups. How often there will be any status emails or things like this, just to make sure that things move on track. Because if someone is supposed to deliver something in 2 weeks or to do something within the next 2 weeks, you don't want 2 weeks from now to contact them and be surprised that they've done nothing. And I know we'll talk about delegation and things like this in other conversations. Like we'll definitely touch upon these things because these things all connect, right?
Yeah.
How to run a business, how to be productive yourself and with your team. Absolutely. So I think this is it more or less for today.
Keep it short, like a meeting.
Absolutely, and just to kind of recap what we mentioned today. To run a productive meeting, first and foremost, it starts with the meeting invites you send, the preparation for the meeting. So having a clear objective. Why are we meeting? What do we want to achieve with this meeting, right? Then clear agenda with who's doing what from the agenda, like who is talking, who is presenting, and how long, like approximately 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Keeping the meeting short and focused. If status meeting 15 minutes, let's say 30 minutes or up to 45 minutes. Otherwise, it should be considered as a working session or strategic session, whatever it is. And throughout the meeting, keep the time. Interrupt people if they go off tangent. Use the parking lot strategy and end with clear action items, with accountability and deadlines. And don't forget to send that email, meeting recap, whatever you want to call it.
Absolutely. So our challenge for you is apply this structure to one of your meetings, try to cut your meeting time into half and see what the results are.
Yeah, apply it. Like you can do this if you are scheduling a meeting today. Apply it.
Yeah,
apply it.
Absolutely.
Add it to your
one of the other things that we should do, as I know it's like it's our boss, we don't want to say anything, or a coworker, we don't want to. If someone sets a meeting, when you decline, you can actually in your decline, you can edit your decline and say, by the way, the reason I'm declining is you have no objective, no agenda, no action items, no structure.
And I am focused. So you can structure it. Actually, you can do make your response in a way that it's like me. I have important things that I'm working on. These are the important projects I'm working on right now, and my time is better spent on this thing than on focusing on the thing that matter, right? The 20% that matters, than on something that I have no idea what this is about. Is it with higher priority than what I'm doing right now? Lower priority?
Absolutely.
And you can set up an example. Even if you're not the team lead, right? You schedule meetings from time to time. Set an example and start using this. This is one thing I did in when I was contracting with Capital Markets, RBC Capital Market. It was like I used this the agenda and then the meeting minutes structure, and my manager's manager, he started using it and others started using it, and I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah, structure helps.
Adds
efficiency.
Some people don't have, a lot of people, I don't want to say some, actually, a lot of people have no idea how to set up a meeting invite and then also the meeting minutes, like how to make them really useful. So absolutely love what you're saying. You have the power, even if you're not the lead. You have the power.
If you just decline, they're going to say, well, why did you decline? right?
Yeah, you
It's like you're not a team player or whatever, but this way you tell the other person that make your meetings better, then I will.
Yeah, let
I
me
will
know
join.
why am I needed? What is this? I have important
Yeah.
things, priorities I'm working on. Like
Yeah.
right now, based on this one just 30-minute chat or something like
Yeah.
this, I have no idea. Is this with higher priority, lower priority? Where does it fit?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah,
All right.
love the suggestion.
Yeah.
And
If you like this session, like our podcast, please subscribe, comment,
share.
share your experiences, share your, maybe there's, the structure that we just gave you, maybe there's one more item can be added to make it better, right? We don't claim to know it all. We're
Yeah.
just practitioners, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Share your versions as well, because one thing though is simplicity, right? Having the minimum things that keep it like useful
Mhm.
and don't bloat it, right? Because you can
Yeah.
add so many things. And this is one of the things actually, before we wrap up completely, other materials that are needed for the meeting, for preparation for the meeting, should be sent separately.
Mhm.
So the meeting invite itself is very clear with the purpose and the agenda. But then if you need to send other materials, if you need to ask someone to prepare separate email where it's like, okay, for this meeting that I just sent, these are additional things, right? Please look at this and prepared with questions, things like this, just to make sure that the preparation is also done from everyone else who needs to attend. Anyway,
All right.
we can talk a lot about these things.
That's all right.
This is for today. Have a wonderful day and share the podcast with anyone else who needs to hear it. Share it with your manager. With
Mhm.
I listened to an very interesting podcast today.
Yeah, of course, spread the word.
Spread the word, exactly. Let's make meetings purposeful and enjoyable for everyone. And we'll be back tomorrow morning. Bye, everyone.